We demoed out rotten wood, made room for the new tank, installed some new components, and tested the strength. Parts are starting to arrive so we can get back on the project. Here is the new 40-gallon tank. Here is the old little tank. So that is about, shockingly, only like 5 or 6 gallons of material can go in that little tank. And this one is 40. So you just kind of take a look at the size difference. Definitely a whole lot more capacity. So that is great. This does not come with the tank. So that is the little grommet kit. And this is the type of grommet kit where you just push them in. You don't have to glue them in. So all of these parts were ordered on Amazon. I will put a link in the description for those if you're thinking about doing something similar. Okay, I'm just using some ratchet straps to mock this up and get it into place. So there is the tank. There is the back of the truck. So I have about 1.5 inches clearance up there. Everything is fine. And so this is before I put the substructure in that's actually going to hold it. That's going to be partially metal. Okay, so we started the mock-up of the substructure now, or the subframe I'm going to call it. So what we did is came off the jacks with a piece of angle iron. And then this is just a little piece of metal going back up to here. We have a screw going into it here, into the structure. Same on the other side. And now you can kind of see where the tank sits there. So next is going to be another gusset like this one that actually is going to go further up under the truck. And then once I get the tank exactly right, another one here. And then the last thing will be is we're going to drill into up there and put a strap down to this. But I can already tell you that I was sitting on this and it's already pretty solid just the way it is. But we're going to firm things up just a little bit more before we get it ready for the next stage. Okay, next we take another piece of our rectangular tubing that we're using, and we want that to be up underneath the truck as far as we can get it, but not so far that it hits the wheel housings. And so we're gonna mount that so that it hits our new wood right there. And let me move this out of the way, some of the original wood from the original camper. So we're actually gonna have tabs so we can put a couple screws in to hold this bracket. So again, that'll just be up just like that. So this is over on the driver's side. So you just want to make sure that whatever you're doing on the other side is okay here. Because if we get the tank too far this way, we'll start running into that. But we are good. We got good clearance all the way across. So we'll be able to do the exact same thing on this side. But first, let's get these brackets built. Okay, I'm just using some 3/16 for the plate. These are 3x4. And then these will be on the far end, and they'll just get a screw on each end. And these are 2" by 4. Okay, here is our first bracket. So here is the center section where it's going to get screwed up into the bottom of the camper. And this tab will get screwed into the side of the camper. So when we're looking at the camper, this bracket's going to go straight in. So we'll snake it up in there, see what it looks like. So just going to slide the bracket up in. It's got to go next to that piece. It's a little snug to get it up in there. And there we go. We'll clamp that in position and double check everything looks right. All right, here's what it looks like on top. We are going to leave just a little bit of a gap between the bracket and that tank, but there gives you an idea how that is going to be set up. Okay, so now is the time to really start making sure everything is good. Grab a square, put it in, just kind of make sure that these are nice and square before you start welding anything in. Again, that's screwed underneath, and 50 inches in. It's got another attachment point that way. So we're just gonna tack this, get the clamp out of the way, and then finish welding it up. Okay, we have the structure all back up. Everything is screwed to the bottom temporarily. The tank is still held in with some straps. We're getting ready to build the structure that's gonna hold the tank in place. But what I wanted to just mention was the weight. So this stuff is 1x2 rectangular tubing. It weighs just a pinch over a pound a foot. Once I put the bracket here that's gonna hold the tank up, I'm gonna have a total of 32 feet. So there'll be just a little over, let's just say round it off to 35 pounds of steel structure. I'll get you a weight on the tank and let you know what that is, but we just want to be careful. You don't want to overbuild it and have so much weight off the back end of the camper that it becomes an issue. Okay, so there is the back support for the tank. That sits right here in this groove. Sorry, that's a little bit of a close-up, but hopefully you can get the idea. I'll show you more on the front. The back's just gonna be kind of hidden. Okay, we are inside the camper. We've got our one vent. That was for our black water. And then right there is our vent for our gray with our drain going that direction. Before, because the tank was small, you can see they came in over here. So the pipe actually came down, had a leg, and then came over. So it blocked up a lot of this compartment. This is a very small compartment, but we're trying to regain as much interior space as possible. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make this pipe go straight down and straight through. So I have marked right there. Hopefully you can see my little black marks. That is where the rear support is, and then that's where the side support is. So I'm gonna drill right between those lines. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you over here. Hopefully you can see it. So there's our nice new round hole. This is always amazing to me, how poorly done some of that is. That has got actually 3 spots where they tried to cut that hole out. And if you look at these, those holes are anything but round. Okay, so we've ripped up the linoleum. We actually took it out as a good clean piece so we could make a pattern. We have some new. This is all underneath that you cannot see. But there was none underneath the shower. So we had to make a bigger piece. So let's see. Let's start with the holes that we've made. So all the holes that we've made, this is going to be the new toilet hole. This is going to be a vent / sink. So there's our original black water tank vent. Now we're going to tie that in with the sink. So the sink's going to come over, drop, come across, and go into there. I dropped it fairly close because I wanted that water to be able to agitate and kind of keep things moving around. The other one, you might remember, is over here. There's where it originally was with multi-cuts, but we went ahead and moved it tight into the corner. So again, we get a little bit more room in our cabinet. That again is our vent and our sink drain. So all of this so far I've been doing with the tank back out. Now we'll stick the tank in and we will drill through right from inside here and drill all our holes right into our tank. So 3 holes going into the tank, no turning back. So you can see I kind of marked where it needed to be because these holes are a little bit ovaled. So I need to make sure I stay on the one end. All right, the piece came out, so I might not have to take this tank back out again, as long as I can get all those pieces out and make sure my holes are clean. That one out too. Actually, I'm gonna have to drop it because it'll be easier to put the grommets in, I think, especially the one in this cupboard. Got that one too. Okay, here's our new tank. So that is going to be the kitchen sink and a vent. Obviously the toilet. And then the bathroom sink and a second vent. And then there's obviously our big dump. So that is where everything falls. You can see that that is really close to the edge. It would have been way better to be in the middle, but we just couldn't push the tank any further under the camper without actually jacking the camper up in the air. So it has to be there. And that's one of the reasons I landed that other one next to it. Like I said, hopefully that'll create a little bit of loose wet where it'll kind of move things along. All right, before we stick the tank in, hopefully for the last time, I want to show you kind of how these go in. There's not a lot of information on the internet about it, so I figured it was worth kind of show and tell. For the toilet, I'm using the 3-inch pipe. So for this, you need to cut a 4-inch hole, this seal in. This is the old tank, so I'm just showing you how this goes together. Just make sure you clean the surface good, like that. I don't think that would be a real good spot to actually use, but there we go. And just get that inserted. For the 1.5 inch, the smaller stuff for the drains and the vents, that uses a 2.5 inch hole saw. So there's our 2.5 inch. We put that in, same thing, and then bevel it. Hopefully you can see that little bevel there. So I put a mark how deep it's supposed to be and just give it a little bit, work it in, and there it's in, and there you go. Very difficult to pull them back out. So I'm just gonna use some lap caulk. This is for like rubber roofing. So this rubber and this plastic, it should be totally fine. I'm just worried about long term if these dry out just a little bit. So my plan is simple, just to take a little bit of this, put it right around the top side. Maybe. There it goes. Just take a little bit of this, go right around the top. And then we'll put that back in. This way we can still pull the pipe out later if we absolutely have to, but we don't have to worry about this little guy leaking. So just like that, and then put it back in. There we go. So that's just gonna kind of seal that shut, just in case there's any leakage. So we're gonna weld our gusset on before we stick the tank back up in, just because we're gonna be doing some welding and I don't want any hot spots landing on the tank. So you can see the gusset, it's gonna get welded solid there, come up, get welded onto this perch, which again is pretty stiff. So we're actually kind of triangulating this entire back end of this camper, making it pretty firm. And then we got the other one cut for the other side. We'll put it in the same. I think it's good. With the tank back up, now you can see our rubber grommets. I already got that pipe. Oh, sorry, that one's kind of hard to see, but that one's sort of in already. So we're just gonna get everything buttoned up on sticking all the pipes in, and then the interior will be ready to put down the new flooring. But that's going to be a little later. So it's time to decide exactly where our dump valve is going to be. So this one, I like to call it the snapper because for sure it's going to just get snapped off. Let's put it in a couple of nice. It just flows all the time, no valve at all. It's kind of like a big exhaust pipe. Okay, this was another idea, but kind of a lot of sewer pipe just hanging out there. All right, we've decided where we're going to have it. So to start out, we're just going to put this short piece in and then we'll put our elbow onto that. So I've already cleaned it, primed it, and now I'm using an all-purpose cement so that I can glue PVC to ABS. Make sure you're using all-purpose if you're doing it this way. And I like to put lots on. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's how I like to do it. whole thing. And then the other thing you really should always do when you're doing it with this stuff is push it in and then give it a quarter turn. And that helps seal everything and hold it into place. Hold it, because it's also going to want to push its way back out. As you can see, I put plenty of glue. All right, so the next thing is kind of determining where we want the dump valve. I want it to be able to reach it easy and operate the valve easy. So this will all actually shorten up just a little bit as I push it all on. But first, I'm just gonna mark everything so that I know exactly where it's gotta go. I'll glue it together because I'll glue this part on out of the camper. Same thing again, lots of glue. So much glue, in fact, that I cover the mark that I just put on and have no idea where to actually index this thing. Let's hope that didn't happen. Okay, it's right there. Okay. So right there and there are our marks. So we'll put them in just a little off from our marks. And then turn. Oh. Woo. Well, turning was not so much an option. Okay. Well, that's in. It's not going anywhere now. We're going to apparently film every step of the way.
We could always film this big wet spot and ask what it is.
I may have had a slight spill of some of the cleaner. Okay, here we go. Try not to screw this one up. So I'm gonna hold this for a while. The last one did push out just a little bit after I let go. All right, so there is where it is, but we don't want that as we're driving down the road. So I'm gonna make a little bracket and then secure it up there. And that way this is nice and firm. Yeah, we don't want that to break off. Okay, so we kind of pretty much have our whole substructure all buttoned up. Our tank is in. So I said I'd try to explain that a little bit better. There is that little, I'm gonna call it a ledge. And so the ledge of the tank sits on this piece of strap, which is welded to the frame. There is the back one. So that tank can't go anywhere. There's no way that's gonna fall out. Real happy with how the tank came out. Our gussets going up, they're welded in there. We're gonna clean everything and paint it. And then finally, we took the step bracket and split it. So it used to be together. And actually on some surfaces, it was just a little bit rocky. So this time we cut it, spread it right out to the very edge of the steps. And these aluminum steps that fold out, they are super nice. They're very firm. You see people in campgrounds with them and you think, man, those look flimsy, but they're actually quite strong. So there it is. That's as far as we're gonna go in this video, guys. Come back next. We're gonna put aluminum diamond plate and trim the whole thing out. Unfortunately, our painting season is over. At least where it's at. This part of the building that I'm in is not heated. So I'm not gonna be doing any more painting on anything here. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you got some questions, please throw them in the comments and come again for part 3, aluminum diamond plate. And last little thing I will quick show you, we just decided for now to take a piece of aluminum, put it over the hole and seal it up. So at least now the camper is sealed up.